Hello, guys. Happy Halloween. Well, I guess I'm looking a bit Halloweenish at the moment. I hope you're all going to have a happy Halloween, although I'm pretty sure some of you are not doing the trick-or-treating part. I know I'm not doing it with my kids just because, well, we're living in a different reality right now. And as some of you may have already known, some of you have actually come to some of the live events we've had. We've actually had 2 this month and 1 in August, down from the many events we had before, obviously. And we've got 1 more coming up in Maryland in next week, actually, which will probably be the last one we're going to have for a good couple of months. We may have 1 in between, but as you know, most of the time we've got to do events outside. They're all socially distanced. They are cleaned down Bokkens, they're temperature checks, etc., which is a requirement so that I can keep you safe. And I'd hate to be the one to get you sick. So we want to keep things outside, but can't do that on the East Coast or anywhere in Europe most of the time now because of the weather. The weather's kind of, wintertime is coming, as some of you have already experienced, I'm sure, in some parts of the world. And we can only do our events outdoors, so I don't want you to be sitting in the rain doing it. Now, what's happening with the Sword Experience? Sword Experience, we actually had a new site we were about to launch in October, and our webmasters team kind of disappeared because of the pandemic. They couldn't arrange things, because we don't always do things in-house. We farm it out to different suppliers elsewhere. So we had to find a new team, and they're in the process now of recreating the website, which will include new merchandise pages, new look on the site, new information you've got, possible streaming ideas that we're going to have. So there's a lot more things we're going to try and bring. We had recently the Slash of the Day, which was kind of a lot of fun for us to do. We're going to also try and do another one of those at some point. We'll probably have a lot more time in November, December to do that. But we're also, we just had our t-shirt contest. I say t-shirt, it sounds like the wet t-shirt contest. The t-shirt contest was the saying that we wanted to put a new Sword Experience t-shirts. Now, as you can see, this is the Sword Experience logo, which has the Sword Experience tagline on the back. But we wanted something a little bit more fun for you to wear. We want something that has a saying and an image on it, so that maybe has just a little something on the sleeve. So we came up with this this contest. We've announced the winners last night to the people who won the top 3 positions. Didn't really surprise me. They were kind of my favorites. My favorite came in like second, but that's okay. I'll use it at some point. So we'll be hopefully bringing you not only a new like black t-shirt, but we want to go into different colors now, like whites and maybe blues and maybe some other color, maybe v-neck, maybe long sleeves. So we're actually going to be creating a line, hopefully, of things there. The other thing we're changing, obviously, is the Amazon. I'll get to that in a minute. That's another point. The other thing we're changing is the Patreon sites to vamp it up a little bit, to make it a little bit easier to deliver the content to you, as well as bring you some new content. And the one new content we're actually working on right now is the Highlander commentary on each episode. Now, I've already done one, which is the Gathering. What I found there is that you have to have the YouTube link really to make sure that it's synced up with the audio that I'm doing. I'm going to be looking at the DVDs from that point on, just because we're testing this new format just to see how it would work. But the commentary would work while you're watching it. You can actually hear the commentary of things I did, or you can listen to what I did and then start the movie again. So you got the option to do both. But we wanted to bring you that because there's a lot of stuff I remember, a lot of stuff I've not said before. I'm not going to bring you the real dirty because I don't want to do that. But I will bring you a lot of different stuff that's involved in the behind the scenes, things I remembered of that set, of the people that were working there, memories I had of funny moments, etc. That brings me to the first question that I have today, which is Claudia Melham, which she says, did you find anything funny or anything not so funny during experiences? Well, not so funny is obviously the moments I got cut. The one when we did the Modern Prometheus, for instance, I got cut on this eye here with a sword to the face because of the lighting. You know, the things you have when you're working on set are not things that you normally have when you're rehearsing. So, for instance, we rehearse in a studio outside on the lot, whatever, and then when we go to set, we actually have the lighting that is now put in place to make us look good. But sometimes, as happened in Modern Prometheus, there was a light sitting right in this angle and he was in front of me. So when he did a certain move, I missed the first move, tried to catch it again, but by that time he'd gone on to the other move, which was coming around and hitting me straight in the face here. So that's one. A gun to the head here was another one. A cut to the finger, which this finger here, I'm surprised it's not even scarred actually. I had this stitched up once, but I also had it bleeding virtually every week because you know, it's that one finger that you're holding on a sword which is closest to the tsuba, and when somebody doesn't hit the right position, then you're going to be bleeding at some point, or at least putting ice on it for a little bit of time. That always happened because we didn't have enough time to really rehearse some of the fights for new people coming in. They would have time with F. Brian McCash or Bob Anderson or Peter Diamond, depending on what year we were actually filming, and they would rehearse with them. But again, the key thing is targeting, and that's what we work on, the sword experience in the Patreon stuff, as well as the actual events that we do. I am now specific about targeting, and I can actually see it in the choreography that we do and the things that you guys are doing. By the angles you're doing, your targeting are much better, and it also helps for competition or HEMA when you're actually doing live cutting to each other without any regard to the other person's well-being, as long as you've actually got your armor on. So targeting is one thing, footwork is the other. So that's really kind of what we've been actually looking at a lot now. So Sue Haslak, she said, with heights making me nervous, how did I feel in the Eiffel Tower Tango? Now, the Eiffel Tower Tango, it's funny because I actually remember that very, very well. I have photos of it. Me and Elizabeth, or Elizabeth and I, should I say, actually had several photos taken during that time. I've gone up the Eiffel Tower a couple of times. I've been up there since, and it is high. There is a certain amount of safety that you have when you go up to the Eiffel Tower, because when you go to the first level, there is a second level, which is probably about another 15-20 feet higher, where it's another viewing platform. That has a railing on it. Everything around it has a railing on it. Now, even looking over the top is, for me, was like, oh, not kind of very happy about that. But there's a kind of safety that you have with the railings that they have around there. Now, obviously, many people have probably committed suicide off the Eiffel Tower because many years ago they didn't have that fence around there. So, you know, the poor people that used to live around there will probably suddenly be eating breakfast one morning and, oh dear, who's this? Oh, we got some jam. So they put the railing around it. Now, when we did the Tango in the Eiffel Tower, and I've said this to a lot of people before, those of you that have not heard me say it, the funny part or the not so funny part was the first part, going up in the elevator. Now, we went up in the elevator, which was given to us by the Eiffel Tower people, to be able to get up there rather than having to take the escalator up. So when we went up into this elevator, our first AD, or second AD, sorry, was a young girl, and we get into the elevator. Elizabeth and I get into the elevator with her and possibly one other person. I'm not perfectly sure. The doors close and we start going up, and all of a sudden she starts going, no, mama, no. And we thought for the very beginning that she was joking. She wasn't. She was actually closed in this elevator going up. She was having a panic attack because it was going up in this elevator. And Elizabeth and I at first went, oh, and then suddenly we realized that, you know, she was, so we kind of tried to calm her down. We get to the top and she was fine. Then we had to look at where we were actually doing the tango, and that was on the next level, that viewing level I mentioned. Now, when we first came out there, I'm looking down going, what are all these boxes here? So the first level, which is where we arrived on the platform, there are all these boxes underneath where we were going to be doing the tango. And I look up, and there's usually there's a railing between the two levels. There was no railing there. All it was a walkway about this wide, like that. And the boxes were there just in case we fell off. So we would land in boxes. So the problem wasn't necessarily just the boxes. The problem were two other things. One was the weather. Now, when I talk about sword experience stuff, I talk about you've got to look at your environment. What's your environment doing? Well, at that particular point, the day before, when we were looking at the weather, it was beautiful, beautiful sunshine. That particular day, it was overcast, and when you're going up a couple of 100 feet into the air, you are now closer to the clouds, which means there's all this mist and wetness in the air, and we couldn't see anything. That was one thing. Second thing was, Elizabeth and I, when we actually did the choreography, we did it in a nice little warm rehearsal space, and we did this intricate dance all the way like this. We get to the top, and I remember Dennis Berry was actually the director on that one, and I had my dear friend Alan Brandon and my brother as two of the extras. So I had a contingency of people I knew there, as well as all the actors and the crew, but they're kind of special in that moment because I'm like, come on, we're going to do something on the Eiffel Tower. I'm going to do a sword fight and a tango on the Eiffel Tower. So you got to come to this one. So anyway, so got them in there. But when we get there, the platform that they built for us didn't just go like this way, so we could do all our things this way and around. It was like this, but no one had told us that. So at this angle, so I get up there, and first of all, we have a drop of 15 feet at least into boxes if we don't do it right. We slip, or something happens because this mist is in the air. The platform is actually kind of slippery, and we also had, who do we have? I think it was either HBO or one of the TV stations had come to do a behind the scenes action, and I come on and I'm like, Dennis, what is this? And just as I saw the other camera, I went, yeah, listen, we've got to be, I had to kind of calm it down because I didn't want to be like throwing a tissy fit on this thing, but I was really upset about this because, you know, we could have seriously fallen and done this. So the Eiffel Tower, we then had to re-choreograph it on the spot. So we said, okay, this part, we have to cut that part, we have to do this, and we have to do this dip, and da-da-da-da-da. So what you saw in the end there was an abridged version of what we'd originally learned in an atmosphere that was, fun afterwards, but it was a little bit tight at the very beginning. So I didn't have the fear of the height so much because the 15-foot boxes, it's okay, you can't kind of see the boxes. It's like when you look up, you go to a ski ramp, or you go skiing, you look up and you go, oh, it doesn't look too high. Or you look at a diving board that's like, 3 meters or 5 meters. When you get to the top and you look back down again, that's when the problem is, because it's like, oh yeah, that is kind of high. Especially like a diving board, because when you're on a diving board, I used to do 5 meter diving, when I was young, when I was like 13, 14, 15, 16, just dive off and backward dives, all this stuff. But what you're looking at, you're not looking at the surface of the water, you're looking at another 10 feet worth of the bottom of the pool. So you're looking a lot further down. And that's when you're kind of going, oh, not so sure I like this. So I don't think the height of the Eiffel Tower was the issue. The boxes was the issue. The height of the Eiffel Tower was the issue. But we got over that because we were actually inside, so I didn't really have too many problems with it. Next question I've got for you, Michael Cheney. My retrospectives are fantastic. How long has it been since I watched the series? Well, to be totally honest, 20 years. It's been a long time. And when I look at, for instance, I looked at watching The Gathering the first time. The weird thing is that I remember nearly every single moment that's there. It's like it was stuck in time. Looking at the first one, remembering Stan Kirsch from the beginning, not knowing he's not here anymore. Seeing everybody when we were younger and vibrant and full of vigor and the mistakes we were making. And I remember all those things, because if you have a video or if you have something that is a memory, like a photo or something of that nature, the amount of things that come back to you is amazing. They're stored somewhere in your brain, those memories. I can still remember things off the top of my head without even looking at the videos. When I get the videos, I can remember things because I'm like, oh yeah, that happened then, didn't it? Some things I don't remember. And sometimes people come up to me and say, do you remember when you were doing it? I'm like, no, I can't remember that. Do you remember that we did this and this? No, I don't remember that. Do you remember that girl's name that you slept with? No, I don't remember her either. All right, I'm lying. All right. You know, the thing is that sometimes you get these things that come back to you, and I think we all have them stored. And so my point is now, doing this Highlander DVD release, is I may as well do it now before I get too senile to remember all that stuff. So, you know, it's going to take me a while to do. And eventually, you know, depending on how long we keep the Patreon alive, because we are going to a new platform and we will be delivering these things, it's going to take me, with two videos a month. If you imagine we did 118 episodes that I can do memories on, as well as all the films. It's going to take me, what is it? If we did 2 a month, that's 22 a year. Sorry, 24 a year. So it's going to take about 5 years just to do those memories. I think I might want to do them a little quicker than that, but it's going to take me some time to do. But you know, we have a lot of stuff that we're doing right now. I want to keep it current, but bring you some of that stuff as well. On top of that, I've got all this stuff that all the videos, all the photos that you haven't even seen yet. All the behind the scenes stuff that I've got that eventually I will be able to release. And I've toyed with writing a book at one point about a lot of this stuff as well. So there's still a lot of things that I still want to bring out, and when I have the time to do it, having 3 kids now is something a little bit different, especially with this pandemic. And some of you that listen to Peace on Radio will hear the issues that a lot of children have with being at home and sitting at home with a, you know, like a TV screen, and they're there with 3 or 4 or 5 hours looking at this thing, and the attention span, and trying to keep them, you know, on that screen to do their work. I don't know how parents do it. They can't sit there with them. Parents that actually have, you know, day jobs and that, it's really hard for them to actually accomplish that. So you know, this year is going to be a real test of the educational system, not only in this country, but in a lot of other countries where kids are not back in school immediately, or they're going back intermittently, because children's attention span is very, very limited. All right, so next question, Dave's going to bring me the next one. Claire Grace, as a director, how do I inject a sense of realism or relatability? Do I encourage improvisation? Hell yeah! I always believe, I'm actually just doing a Film Fight Insight on the Pirates of the Caribbean, and Johnny Depp, one of the things I always loved, he said, because when he first, and I mentioned this in Film Fight Insights, he talks about his coming up with the idea when he gets involved in that space, right? He creates a character, starts discussing things with somebody, and something comes to him, a line or something comes to him. He said, I would tell the director and that this is what I want to do, and then I would do it. However, he did a whole bunch of things in there that were improvised and were not in the script. And I think sometimes it works really well. As a director, I would always have people improvise as long as we have the essence and they're not going totally off script. If you have the bones of something and you know that very well, and you know your character really well, I think it's okay to improvise some things, because that's part of you becoming the character. Some of the best moments in film have been improvised. For instance, what's the one with Richard Gere and what's the name, where he does the jewelry, where she's a prostitute, and Pretty Woman. Thank you. David's telling me in the back, where he takes the necklace and he shows her the necklace. Right? He wasn't supposed to slam it shut. That surprised her. The reaction he got from her was priceless. The moment in Raiders of the Lost Ark when the guy comes in and says, he does all the sword work, and Harrison Ford comes up and goes, "Oh, forget it," and shoots him. That was improvised. He did say he was going to do it because he actually had a food poisoning and couldn't go through but it was an idea that came up last minute. So a lot of these things are priceless things you could never ever recreate or write, because you're in that moment. And sometimes in the moment it's very important to be there and come up with something, not because you want to think it's clever, but because that's how you're feeling. Who was it? There was certain screen kisses. I think it was in. There was a screen kiss. Oh, I can't remember the name of the movie now. But I've looked at this in several places where the actor says, I think this works and does something. I mean, I did that when I did a thing called Red Sneakers, which has not been released yet, and it's a pity because it was actually I was kind of a weird character. I haven't released this thing yet, but I decided to kiss the lead actress on the lips after I'd already kind of raped her daughter, which was really weird. But it was, because I was playing this leader of this cult type of thing, and she went, "Oh my God, that was brilliant." And I said, "Yeah, because it really adds a level of like yuckiness to this guy, based on the fact that he still believes in everything in the truth. And even if he kisses this person and kisses this person and beds this person in bed, he still believes it's to be okay." Right? So I think that moment of, oh, I think this is what I feel is good. You can always do it and have it cut out, and the director can go, "No, I don't want that. Let's go back to the thing that works or it doesn't work." But at least it's on camera. Right? So next question is from Carol Morganroth. Hello, Carol. How are you? I see that you're doing all your sword experience stuff. Should I buy cheaper Bokkens knowing that they will gain character, or go with a more durable Bokken that will last? Interesting comment. I think when you have your own Bokken, you know the feel of it. If you have something that you're going to be constantly using and constantly banging against, then you use a cheaper one to make that dented or durable, as you said. But certain ones we're releasing, for instance, are very durable and are meant for contact. It really depends on the finish that you have. The finish on a Bokken, for instance, if you have the gloss finish, you don't want to use contact on that, because it's not the Bokken that gets damaged, it's the gloss, and you start seeing all the dents of the gloss on the actual Bokken itself. When you're doing hard contact with things, I actually think, if you've got a hard enough piece of wood and it is durable, you can use that. A lot of the Bokkens that they use in Aikido are your own Bokken, and they don't dent at all. Most of the time you're doing forms anyhow, and then you're doing touching with people. I have my Bokken, for instance. It's been touched probably thousands of times at this point. I've been doing the sword experience for nearly 5 years, and I've had the same Bokken all the way through all the events. So you can imagine how many times it's been hit. And I have some dents in it and some small chips, but if you take care of it, remember the history you could have on that Bokken, because that's something you've now learned all the moves on, touched Bokken with like X amount of people. And then if you think about it, you're going to buy yourself a $30 Bokken compared to a $150 Bokken. Okay, that $30 Bokken will dent up and you'll use it for a year. Right? Over 5 years, you'll have these dented little Bokkens, these pieces of things that you can't keep, because you'll have a whole storage of them rather than one, which actually would hold its value over 5 years. And then you can say, put it on the mantelpiece, shine it up, do all the stuff and say, look, this is the thing I use. Yes, it's got the dents. That's when I had this moment. That's when I had that moment. That's what the handle of the sword experience is all about. It's the memories that this particular thing had. It's very much like me remembering all the things on Highlander. Now that piece of film reminds me of those moments. So personally, I would have something a little bit more durable that I would keep, and I would always say, okay, this is what I used for this, and have it as a mantelpiece. That's my Bokken. Then you go on to the next Bokken that you might want to buy and keep that for another 5 or 10 years. So that's personal. That's just me personally, but you can do what you want. That's up to you. James Gibson, you've been enjoying the Peace Fund Radio. How can we help out the charity and be more helpful? Well, see, the thing with the charity, when being in this pandemic, a lot of our stuff is going to schools and our online interaction regarding the kids that we support. We would go into the schools, we would take celebrities into the schools. That's not happening now. That won't happen for another 6 to 8 months. We're going to try and look at possibly bringing it online, where we have celebrities read stories to kids, and that would require some funding. We were just about to start launching the live one when this all started happening. We kind of run numbers. We were looking at people that would sponsor us. Peace Fund Radio really is the thing we are keeping on top of. It's not a huge cost, and we are able to maintain a reasonable cost on it. Myself, Ethan, Bev, a lot of the people that the social media all do it for free, but we still have to have the studio booked. We still have to, or not the studio, we used to have the studio booked. We have to have the upload done. That's paid for the month. So there are some costs involved in it. So a small donation would help us at the moment, but I wouldn't encourage you to donate totally, because I'd rather not have just the money sit there, because I'd rather be on Peace Fund Radio and say, these guys need help. Go over there and say Peace Fund Radio sent you, or the Peace Fund sent you, so that shares what we're doing, which is sharing a message. I think we are behaving like Facebook or any other YouTube or any other social media platform by doing Peace Fund Radio, by bringing you the issues that are current, that some people are being able to handle. We talked this week, for instance, about a young boy that, or last week we talked about a young boy that was raising money for in England and I think it was like he did 2 marathons, but that's not the incredible part. The incredible part was he did it on crutches because he can't walk. So to me, and he was raising money for his cause. And we have another kid this week that we're highlighting who has raised money for his cause, because he said, this person inspired me and I wanted to give back to that person's memory, so I'm raising money for this. He wanted to raise about £100 at the time. He's raised nearly £100,000, which is about $113,000 by doing this. So those people, to me, are the people that are doing things right now for the organizations that are working. Food banks are very important right now. If you want to do something, buy some food that is non-perishable and take it to your local food bank, because it's easy to do. There's stuff in your larders, we call them larders in England, in your pantries, that has been sitting there for a while. It probably doesn't have an expiry date if it's in tins, so you're not probably using it. It might be, but the pantry could use it, because there's a lot of people, and there are going to be a lot more people that are going to be in a bad situation over the coming year or two. I looked at a BBC report by the World Bank last week when I was in Tampa doing the Sort Experience event in Tampa. I happened to look at it that evening, and the woman from the World Bank said over the next year or two we are expecting to have between 80 to 180 million people in abject poverty because of this pandemic. That's abject poverty. That doesn't even include the homeless people that are coming to the streets now. The issue is that people don't understand. This is why we have to get back to work in any way that we can, as safely as possible, because I believe it's not just let's get back to work. It's about let's get back to work as safely as possible and to adapt. And we'll talk about adaptation in a minute. But I think you have to do that so that the people that now have taken loans, for instance, people take loans from the government, from other business, so that they can continue their business, so that they can continue paying the rent. In 6 to 8 months, if they still haven't gone back to work, they now have 6 to 8 months of rent that they have to pay back. You're going to spend another 2-3 years having to pay that money back because of the situation that you found yourself in. Some people are taking advantage of it, and I'm sorry that they're doing that, but the issue right now is something I say to people all the time. And I've said it on Peace Fund Radio, I've said it on the events that we go to, and that is, for a species to survive, it has nothing to do with their intelligence or their strength. It has to do with their ability to adapt. And that means what we're doing now. If you have a certain type of job, you have to, and you can't do that job, find something else. It's your job to get yourself unstuck. It's your job to find something that allows you to benefit your family or yourself and further it. Because if you don't do that now, you'll find yourself in a worse situation in 6 months or a year's time. So that's my belief, and that's why, like for instance, the sword experience, we're still able to do certain things because we're adapting to the situation that we've been put in. Imagine, we did 27 events last year. Right now, I've done, I think, 6 this year. I can't run a business with that. I have to now bring it online so that you guys can do stuff, that you guys can do something. I'm trying to adapt all these things. That's why we brought Patreon out. That's why we put things online. I actually think that it will help later on down the line when we have more live experiences, that we can then refer people to the sword experience numbering system, to the online system that we've done, to all the videos that we've created for the Highlander behind the scenes, the Film Fight Insights. It allows us to build a library of things that we can now offer as a business. That's what we have had to do to adapt. It's not been easy, but it has allowed us to adapt, and I think that's what you have to do. Christina Hart. Hi, Christina, how are you? How do you stay centered with your fan base, activities, career, baby families? I'm not centered. Are you kidding me? I lose it all the time. You got to be kidding me. I'm just because it's normal, like, calm exterior. You know, the only way, I mean, I do have an extreme amount of things to do because, you know, bringing all this new stuff. I mean, David can tell you, the Aisha, Brandy, all the people that work for me, to have to change all this stuff all the time. I have to make sure that I delegate work and that I then schedule things. I have David saying to me, okay, you need to make sure you have this for Patreon out, and this out on this date, and this out on this date. I have Brandy give me the stuff saying this needs to be done. If I didn't have that, if I didn't have those things and say, okay, today I'm going to slot this, and this. If you don't do it that way, you're going to find yourself, oh my gosh, I forgot that. Oh, I didn't have that. You've got to schedule it. And you've got to give time to it and put also where your priorities are. I think, you know, with a new baby, my priorities and my kids being at home, my priorities are my kids right now. It's harder for me to do a lot of the work, and I'm spending less time at the office and trying to spend more time with them, to go out with them, to play soccer with my son, to go and take my baby to spend time playing with him, to see if my daughter has actually got her looms that she's doing, so that she's having fun with that. All those things as well that I've had to look at and delegate time for. Now I've scheduled those time slots for those things to happen. It's easier. I'm working on a Saturday, right? I now work 6 days a week, not 5. I used to work 5 and a bit. Now it's 6 days a week, and sometimes 7. I can't do that anymore. I've got to spend time with them. So it's delegating that time with the people that you care about and the things that you have to do, but as long as you schedule them. So I don't want to say to people, Sword Experience is going to deliver you this, and we fail in doing that. I would rather not deliver as much and give you the stuff that you expect on time. So that's really what it's about. So that's why we adjust things sometimes, where we realize, you know, we're not able to deliver certain things as well, or we think that you are asking for something different. Which also brings me to a point, if there's anything you guys actually think of that why could we offer this because you saw it on another platform, tell us, because we don't know everything. Let us know about those things, because we might be able to incorporate it in a slightly different way. When we were in Tampa, for instance, I am playing with the idea now of having a Jedi Academy. That might come up, I don't know whether it will. Everything that happens and creating online platform stuff is going to be the key thing for the next year, would be my guess. So for us to develop those things now in the time that we can do it, if you guys tell us this stuff, we can actually incorporate those things that we're going to bring online. So we'll see. All right, let's get the next one. Benoit Garnier. Bonjour Benoit, ça va? Updates on the new Bokkens website, new fitness program, and anything else. Well, I mentioned this at the beginning. The website is underway. We have all the Bokkens photographed. I had them all, the woods, the handles, the new training tool. I had all of that. We prepared all that. We just weren't able to bring it out at the beginning of October when I wanted to. And now we're in the process of doing it. I should have a design of the new site by next day or so. And what we're going to try and do, because of Christmas coming up, is bring out the merchandise portion of the site first, so that if you want to give gifts to your loved ones or to your friends or to your colleagues that you might not be seeing, it could be a sword experience event, it could be a Bokken, it could be a t-shirt, it could be a pop socket, a hat, any of those things that you might want to give as a small gift, because sometimes, you know, we might not have as much money this year at Christmas because we've not been in work. We'll be able to offer those things for you, as well as bring you insights on new videos that we've got. I'm working hard right after this. Once we've finished our Maryland event, I'm working hard on a very new fitness video with the sword. What I've done so far in the past 4 or 5 months is teach people the basic angulations with the sword. The idea of the training tool is that you can do the same things, but I'm going to be working literally like an hour fitness video, much like Tybo was in a sense, to bring a fitness version of that to you. When you get the proper angulations of it, and you know those angulations, you'll get a better workout because you can go harder with it. But it still will be beneficial to those people that don't have those angulations, because it will be some sort of workout for the legs, for the stomach, for the arms, for the shoulders, the stretching, all those things, timing, footwork. We're going to be bringing different types of videos out that are solely based on that. So it will take us a little bit of time to do, but again, we're just trying to add things all the time to the program. And we're hoping that by mid-November, we'll have the first iteration of the new site. It won't be complete because we'll be working on it as we go through towards Christmas, adding all the new functionalities. And the reason why we had to change the site was because we've grown so much that we're offering new things on there. We try to bring the videos, which are linked to YouTube. We wanted to bring the online platform onto the sword experience, or the events, the photos. And when you do that, and you have a checkout cart as well with the merchandise, you put plugins into a site. The more plugins you have, the slower it is, unless you have a site designed for that multiple use, which is now what we have to do. That's why we were going to change it anyhow. So we'd already thought of changing this back in July. So I had it ready. I talked to them. We kind of discussed what we were looking for. We had the online platform we were working with at the beginning of September. I put my guys to work. 4 weeks afterwards, they say, well, we can't do it. So I lost all that time waiting for them to tell me they couldn't do it. So you can just rely on certain people somewhat. So now we have a new company, brand new company. I think we'll be able to bring a brand new look to the sword experience, new information, bringing a much more streamlined version and a much more easier checkout version for you to look at. Again, bring us comments as to things you might want to see once we've actually launched the site. So there's those updates. Sue Hassler, how do I get the cut on my face? Well, which one? I have one here. This side, I think. Yeah, I've been cut here. I've been cut here. I've been cut here. I've been cut in so many different places. One I got cut in the face here. I think here it was from a sword. We were doing Highlander one time, and it doesn't matter how much rehearsal time you have, you need to be able to be aware of the situation. We had the rehearsals done where there was a sword coming through, for instance, this particular incident where the sword came through this way in a thrust, and it was supposed to go through an open face bookcase, and on the bookcase were DVDs, books. It was in the loft, and it was a fight that we did, and the idea was it was supposed to come through and I was supposed to parry here. What ended up happening was, as it came through, the sword hit the DVD cases and flicked up. So instead of coming to here, it flicked up to my face like this. I literally moved, I can't remember which way it went, I moved this direction and just glanced on my face. Could have gone right in my eye. So those things happened. The one that happened here on the face this way, this was a gun. That was when I disarmed somebody. It was actually in the second season, I think first or second season. My fault, because I disarmed it in the wrong way. Instead of disarming the gun that way, I disarmed it this way, which meant that the gun flew this way. When he let go of it, it just hit me in the head and split my head open here. This one underneath my eye here was a girl's heel. You want to know about that one? This was actually way back, and that was when I was modeling. I was in Portugal, and I'd just come off a Vogue shoot that morning and flew to Portugal for a catalogue shoot. And as we used to do, we would, you got to understand, models are guys and girls that want to just have fun as well. So we would go out that night. We went out to party, and we went to this local discotheque. We walked to it. It was about a good 15-20 minute walk. We walked to this discotheque. Nobody there. We kind of walked back to the hotel with these two girls that were staying at our hotel, and we drunk way too much. And I was walking with two guys, with a girl and a guy, and my friend was up ahead with one of the other with the other girl, and he's walking. And I thought, I'll just go catch him up. I ran to catch him up. As he did, he picked the girl up and swung around like this, as her heel came round and cut me right underneath the eye here and split my eye open. I went to the hotel in my inebriated state, because I don't drink anymore, probably because I don't like being out of control. But at that time, you're young, you're 19 years old, 20 years old, you're about to drink. So they put the iodine, that red iodine, and I went to sleep. The next morning, my eyes like this, bloodshot all in the eye, inside here. My eyes up like this, and it's like a bright, like purple and blue color. And I walked downstairs to the photographer, and he looked at me like, "Oh my God, what are we gonna do?" And I had to go home. They had to send me home because there was no way I could do a Vogue shoot with this cut. So that was that one. This one was split. But again, all these things happen, during life. It actually just, they happen. Things happen. It just, those. I've got others as well, but Sylvanus, with the anger I had with Roddy Piper, was that acting or genuine anger? No, actually, Rowdy was one of the nicest guys I've worked with. It was acting. I mean, I've been angry at a couple of people during the course of the show. Very few, but I could count on one hand people I really didn't like, and I'm not going to mention any names. But Rowdy was actually, I remember Rowdy. We were working out in the gym, and he said to me, if you really want to pump up, these are the exercises you want to do just to pump your muscles up like quicker for like that last thing, because that gives you the shots to do. And then here's a chokehold that we look at. So I'd work with him with that, and the anger we had was just just acting. It was just but because I liked Roddy was great, and we saw each other several years afterwards. I was so sad to hear that he passed. He was a nice guy, even though he had this great reputation in the ring to be a badass. So he was. It was pure acting. The only thing that happened between us was in the sword fight. I don't remember, because Roddy was swinging. Roddy comes from the reality of a fight, and he actually turned around to Bob Anderson and said, I don't know about this, because I kind of feel like I'm in a real fight with Adrian. And he says, yeah, because he's kind of a fighter anyway, but he's able to pull the punches, and he kind of knows what he's doing, but it's all acting. Trust me, Roddy, it's all acting. And so Roddy came through, and I remember this parry we had. It was either an up down parry or this parry under this side. I remember it was from this side, and I said to Bob, Bob, I really feel like I'm in a weak position when I do that parry with him. And Bob goes, no, it's fine. And sure enough, Roddy swings from this way round this way, like, and I parry it like this, and this my sword, not the handle, because a lot of the time what we used to have, if this was the length of the blade, the rest of the blade would go into the handle, into the actual handle itself, and stay inside. And a lot of the time they only put that much of the actual blade inside the handle, which would end up breaking off the back end of the handle because of the torque that was happening on the front end, and it would snap it. Eventually they put it all the way through. But this time with Roddy, it actually snapped the aluminum blade in half. This thing went like this. It just flew out. I mean, it either snapped to the top part, because he creamed it so hard. It just, and I think it's in the outtakes, it just went flying. So that was the only real thing that happened with Roddy. I will be highlighting that, as I said, on those DVDs that that I'll be doing for the Highlander series, because Roddy will be one of them, of course. But there's a lot more coming on that. But Roddy was a real gentleman, actually. Benoit, Garnier, are there any moves in the sword experience system where we're supposed to hold the Bokken upside down? Not yet. The handle, as I mentioned before, the swords, the reason you hold the sword upside down is for distance and close combat inside here, like of this nature. If you're going through a doorway, if you're in a hallway where you're tighter, there's nothing yet that I've shown you to do that, because there is a certain wrist. You've done the wrist going this way with the sword in this action, so the sword is doing this action here. You now have to change it to go this way and be able to turn the wrist over. That means you've got to have a lot of manipulation in the wrist to be able to do that and be able to manipulate the blade. So we will get to that, but not yet. I want to make sure that those angles, you really understand those angles that we've talked about, because the footwork and the angles go well together. Once you understand that, then adding another piece, which will be the reverse action, will be easier for you to get. So it will be coming, but I want the idea on these 4 or 5 months was to really have people understand not only about the cut, but about the environment, about realizing and visualizing how you have this action you're doing, and then you see this person coming, so that I see this. So I, as the audience, there are good cutters and there are bad cutters. The bad cutters to me are the ones that do this. What is that? It's a bunch of sword moves. Great, lovely. But, you know, you're not showing me what your fight is. I'm not seeing what that fight is doing when I'm coming here. It's that motion. So a cutter to me, it's somebody that's actually being able to know what that block is or know what that sword strike is. So to understand that, that's why these 4 or 5 months have been specifically worked on understanding the movement. And now the portion is putting those movements together and now looking at the exterior portion of it, which is knowing where that fight is coming from without having somebody there. Because what that does is it gives you awareness of your space. It will give you awareness of being in a tight situation, if you're ever in one, on film or in reality, of understanding your space and how you move within that space. Larry Schwartz, how was it working with Roger Daltrey? We had a funny chemistry. I always remember, you know, I met Roger the first day I think I met Roger. It was actually outside of Paris, and it was Roger Daltrey. You know, I was like, oh my God, it's the guy from The Who. And being English, you grew up with, you know, The Who and that. It was, oh, we got Roger Daltrey on set. So, but he was so easy. You know, he was just so easy to work with, Roger. And we had an English sense of humor, I guess it was, that, you know, we could just banter backwards and forth with each other. And we threw that. You talk about, earlier on the question came about improvisation. A lot of the time, Roger and I would kind of improvise certain things as well. The dialogue would be there, but the things that we would do were improvised, especially when you're doing the power stuff, because his character was one that was always trying to, you know, scheme with one thing or another, right? So it was McLeod always trying to get him out of that situation, and he liked him because he was that. It allowed McLeod to be lighter, like Amanda did in a certain different way. There was a certain lightness in those characters, and Roger and I always found those things. I got angry with Roger one time, and we made up afterwards. It was right toward the end, and it had nothing really, I suppose, to do with Roger, but with the fact that the series was ending, and I had so much stress on me, or pressure on me, should I say, ending the series, because we were ending a 5-6 year run, and it was, you know, we wanted to get that last episode right, and it was something happened. I didn't talk to him for a couple of days, and then I apologized, and we apologized. I said, listen, it's okay, and we were fine. You know, it was like having a couple of brothers having a discussion. That happens sometimes, you know. You work with somebody so often, and Roger was only supposed to come in for one episode and ended up being like 3 or 4 years on the series, and came in and did, you know, 5, 6, 7 episodes. And every time he came in, we were always like, hey, you know, I actually saved his life. Those of you who don't know that story, that's another one where he had something stuck in his throat, and Elizabeth Grayson was like, you can't stuck it, give him Heimlich, because Roger was so Roger and I have a little bit of a history. I haven't spoken to him in years. I've left him a couple of messages. I'd like to see him again because I've always liked the man. I think he's a genuine person. He's very down to earth, even though he's a megastar. Loved Roger Daltrey, and yeah, we had some good memories together. Sue Hassler, do I ever have to deal with overzealous fans? I have had to, yes, and I still do occasionally. There's to me, I want to give people as much as I can, right? But there is a space that I like to keep because this is my space, right? I can give as much as I can to people, and but my time and my space is mine. When you infiltrate that, that's when the issue will come, and that's when it bugs me. So there's certain times when if I say let's do this and somebody decides to do what they want to do, then I have somebody say no, sorry, you can't do that, or I'll say can you back off? For instance, in the social distancing, if I'm in one of my events and I say to people we are social distancing, and somebody decides to put their arm around me, I will probably just push them off and say excuse me, but you need to keep six feet apart from me, because there is a certain respect when it comes to somebody saying something, please do this. When you're younger and you have 30, 40 people screaming your name, and for instance running through St. Peter's Church in Rome and having girls scream in the middle of the Vatican, there's nothing you can do about it, or people up and down the street that come out, and it was a lot worse then than it is now. But I always respect people's space. I'm always very happy to talk to people, to see the questions. Certain things I will and will not do, but there are overzealous fans, and it's just understanding that there is a respect you have with somebody. You wouldn't walk up to somebody at a store that you don't know and do certain things you do with celebrities. Some people think celebrities are their best friend because they've seen them on TV all the time, right? And they can do anything they want with them. Well, or they can say anything they want to them but it's not like that. You wouldn't necessarily do that to a person on the street or a teacher or somebody like that. Most of the time, some people would, but the majority of the time you have a certain boundary. And I think that gets lost because of the familiarity you have with having seen this person on screen all the time. There's a certain, you think you know that person. A lot of people that are on screen, you don't know who they really are. They are playing a character, and therefore who they really are needs to be respected first of all. So that's just in that area. But I will give as much as I can to my fans because I wouldn't be here without them. Right, we're running out of time. We've got 7 minutes left now. Would I ever consider doing live stream sort of experience events, Sylvanus? Yes, that's what we're looking at. We're actually looking at being able to do the sort of experience events and stream them live to those people that can't turn up for a very small fee. So that's what we're looking at doing, because that way you guys can practice at home a lot of the things we're doing, and you can watch an event, a 5-hour event, how we do it. Those of you that can't get to a lot of the events we do, since I travel so much, live stream has become a key thing. I also am looking at different live streaming different other things, because I think we are now a much more internet-based society, and with the introduction of 5G, which apparently is not that safe for you, but even with 4G, you should be able to get a connection to people in different areas where you can learn things online. It's not as good as being there, never is, but at least you're able to get something from it, so that you are part of that group or part of that community, so you can actually learn something new. So yes, live streaming is something that we're definitely looking at. Carol Morgan-Roth, when is the t-shirt reveal? See it, look, t-shirts. The t-shirt reveal, we once, obviously, when we kind of chosen the type of material we want and the distributor we want, but we have to design it. We couldn't design it without the statement and without you. It's like putting a sword fight into a set. You can't do the sword fight and then go to the set and expect it to work on the set. You have to know what the set is and put the sword fight into it. Therefore, we had to know what the saying was so that we could design the saying around whatever image we're going to put with it, and then we can put that on the t-shirt. Hopefully that will be a couple of weeks to actually do that design, and what we will do, we'll see whether you guys like it, and we'll take pre-orders as well, so that you guys can let us know whether this is something that's going to be worthwhile to do. So that way I don't have to just order 100 or 150 t-shirts. I can order more if you guys really like it and you want to actually buy the t-shirt. So we'll probably look at taking pre-orders on some of that stuff now as well, because as I said, we're looking at doing 1 or 2 designs. We're possibly even looking at doing an Academy t-shirt alone. So but we're also considering different colors, possibly different sleeve lengths. We'll also maybe at some point doing warm-up jackets, things of that nature, so that you've got different things that have sword experience stuff on them, merchandise on them. So there is stuff coming out, but we'll reveal it as soon as we get it. Michael Cheney, other than Duncan, which role am I most proud of? Gosh, I don't know about proud. I mean, proud, having fun doing them. The Breed was a fun role that I really enjoyed doing, as well as Captain Drake on the Immortal Voyages of Captain Drake, just because it was just so much fun to do. I mean, the Breed was a very intricate thing to do, having a guy that's very well dressed, etc., turning into an absolute animal, and the problems that had there, and the way he moved around the room was very different. There was a lot of things about the Breed that was so fun to create, and the same with Captain Drake. Captain Drake was a blast from beginning to end, not only because I choreographed the sword fights in that, which I'm not credited for, by the way, but because the character itself, it was kind of like what Johnny Depp did with in Pirates of the Caribbean, to a different degree, in a sense. When they had Johnny Depp, Mike Eisner was absolutely furious with the way Johnny Depp was portraying the role, and he said, "What is this? Is this sort of weird? Is he gay?" And apparently Johnny Depp turned around and said, "Yeah, all my characters are gay. Didn't you know?" He thought he was going to get fired for that, but he took a chance in creating this. Now nobody can see that role in anybody else, or that role being in any other type of being played any other way. Same thing kind of happened with Captain Drake in a different degree, where it was written in a certain way, and I portrayed him in a very flamboyant, self-centered, egotistical manner, which made it humorous. And all of a sudden the writer was like, "Oh my God," and then he went, "Well, actually this is working," and all the other people around it kind of adjusted for it, and that's kind of what made it fun and made the piece fun, because we were on a lower budget and the visual effects on it were kind of not the best. But I think the fun part of it was the whole journey of seeing this self-important man navigate to this pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. So, that's the two I kind of come to mind right now. Last one, Benoit Garnier, any hint on the next episode for companion commentary? What's companion commentary?
Highlander podcast, or the Highlander commentary.
The Highlander commentary.
Yeah.
Any what? So what is it?
Any hints to the next episode of what we're going to be doing?
Well, on the Highlander commentary, the ones that I'm doing on behind the scenes, you're talking about. Well, the next ones I'm doing them in order, so there will literally be season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In that order, I will be doing commentary on each of the different episodes as we go through. So we'll do all of season 1, all of season 2. I won't be picking episodes arbitrarily. I'm going to go from the beginning to the end, so you can really see what the journey was for the series, and for me, and for the other actors in it, and how it changed. I mean, you really will see the difference in how the series changed on a dime, in a sense, because of a different writer coming in, and because of the different actors coming in, because of the way it was lit, all those different things. So that's why I think the journey's better to go. You come on the journey with me as I remember the whole thing, episode by episode. All right. Well, thank you for joining me this month, and next month we'll do the same thing. I hope that you stick with us, because, as I said, we've got a lot more things coming out. We are trying to bring you as many things as possible, and we are working really hard here to make sure that it's done in a safe manner as well as an entertaining manner. But some of the live events, as I said, won't be as often in the next 3 months or so because of the weather. When we get to February, March time, we might be able to be bringing some of those events back, academy events, elite events. Retreats we'll have to see, because it's going to be dependent on what's happening in June, July next year. But I would imagine, I would love to go back to Ireland, but they just shut down again. So there's another 6 weeks of quarantine in Ireland. So again, it's what is going to allow us to do with this pandemic that is ever present. So until then, thank you very much, and happy Halloween. Be safe. Make sure that you do all the spooky things, but do them in a safe manner, and vote. Make sure you vote, because this is going to be one of the most important ones. Doesn't matter what side you vote on, make sure you vote. Get your voice heard, because I don't want to hear you complaining afterwards. See you later. Bye.